Who goes first? We didn't decide that, did we?
No, you start.
Hello, everyone.
Hello, everyone. I'm Mem Fox, and that's Judy Horacek. We look increasingly like each other. It gets confusing.
So, Mem Fox and Judy Horacek welcome you to their talk. I'm obviously not a caricaturist, but I can draw cute figures, and we're nothing if not cute figures, are we, Mem? So, this is why we're here.
This is our new book. It's obviously called This and That. And guess what? It's about this and that.
And would you like to read it for the assembled crowd?
I would love to read the book, and Judy would love to show the illustrations. I do need you to know that if it were not for Judy, I would not be sitting here because I cannot draw even a stick man. Here we go. This and that. This is my first public reading, so I may get it wrong. Are we ready?
Yeah. All I have to do is click, you know. I've got the easy part.
I'll tell you the story of this, and I'll tell you the story of that. I'll tell you a story of cavernous caves and a chimp with a magic hat. And then I'll tell you a story of this, and I'll tell you a story of that. I'll tell you a story of two little boys who race down the road with a cat. And then I'll tell you a story of this, and I'll tell you a story of that. I'll tell you a story of crazy giraffes who tried to sit on a mat. And then I'll tell you a story of this, and I'll tell you a story of that. I'll tell you a story of kings and queens who love to have a chat. And then I'll tell you a story of this, and I'll tell you a story of that. I'll tell you a story of two speckled hens who were terribly, terribly fat. But now it's bedtime. So I'll tell you a story of that, and I'll tell you a story of this, and I'll tell you a story of how I adore you, and then I'll give you a kiss. Even after that first reading, I know that this is a book that parents are going to hide very shortly after they've bought it. Because once you have that in your head, you will go nuts, absolutely nuts. And it's the kind of book I think that children will want again and again because it's so repetitive. But it is the kind of book that drives parents to putting it on the tops of wardrobes. So
she didn't notice how I screwed up the last pages, did she, when they went?
Did I screw it up?
No, I did.
Oh, sorry, that's okay,
Something
Judy.
about
I'm sure
the
it's
clicking
fantastic.
button. So that's our new book, and we thought we would, because we're talking about collaboration and how we work together, etc. So we thought we'd go back to the beginning, which was the first thing we worked on together, which was Reading Magic. What is Reading Magic, Mem Fox?
Reading Magic is a book for parents about how their children can most easily learn to read. And it's about the years from birth to 5 and how reading aloud will change children's lives forever. So
you wrote this text because this is the importance of reading to children is Mem's thing, it must be said.
It's my passion. It's my absolute passion.
And we knew each other because we have the same agent, Jenny Darling, and Mem asked if I would be happy to do the cartoons. And
what is the name of the Victorian premiere?
They're laughing because I was hoping for books. The cartoons come out.
What is the name of the Victorian premier for whom you did some cartoons in a book?
Joan Kerner.
Joan Kerner.
Yes.
The name came to me immediately. That's where I first fell in love with your work. Right. Joan Kerner. And it was because of the Joan Kerner book
Which was Every Woman's Guide to Politics.
Yes, I loved the cartoons in that, and I wanted something to lighten the heaviness. Well, it's not heavy, but I wanted something to lighten reading magic. You know, did my dreams come true or what? You know, this is hysterical. I mean, it's just brilliant. Absolutely fantastic. The book is full of that kind of cartoon. You've got another one, I think.
Yes, because my gig was to draw cartoons about how important it is to read to children, and another one about how important it is to read to children, how important it is to read to children. So there are chickens reading to eggs, there's a dragon at a book signing, I went back to the Bible, everywhere to try and find different conceits to use in the cartoons. The book with Joan Kerner was actually called Women's Power Handbook. The title I said before was another book I did. So, and this was one that I'd already done that Mem insisted came in here. So I was going to be the perfect wife. I was going to cook and sew and clean and clean and clean. So what happened? They taught me to read. And that is not one I made up myself. I have to say that my mother is responsible for that one. That's a line that she often said. Well, should I point her out in the audience?
Oh, yes, please.
No, best not. Anyway, so that's where that came from. So that is also reproduced in Reading Magic, because again, it's about how important it is to read and what things can happen. And this was what I found when I scanned in the cover of my copy of Reading Magic, a note from Mem Fox. And Mem Fox is the queen of notes. And this note, would you like to read it?
I will. This note was after Reading Magic came out, and we had been doing some things in Canberra, which is where Judy lived at the time. So it's the 15th of August, 2001, a very long time ago. I can't remember that long ago. I'm so glad this note is here to say that, you know, we did know each other then. Judy, divine to see you. Thanks for looking after me. Here's to our next picture text collaboration. Love, Mem, kiss, 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 always 3 kisses. Judy and I did not know at that point that actually there would be a collaboration, and we certainly didn't know at that point that it would be a picture book collaboration. I had no idea what I was talking about there. I just knew that it would be fun to work with her.
Were you just fibbing
again.
to me? You just say that. She just says that to everyone she works with. Here's to our next collaboration.
So I thought that was
Dear random illustrator.
No, not at all. Not at all. Stop fishing. Stop fishing. No, that's amazing. Judy, you only found that last night.
Yeah, I only found it last night. And I just went,
amazing.
Wow. That's the beginning of it all. I actually have an enormous collection now of notes from Mem Fox. It's, because you do love to dash off a note. And
I do. I love
a
note. I love a note. Yes.
So this is we're going to talk a bit about how we work, and this is Mem's workspace.
This is my handwriting workspace. I have a handwriting workspace and I have a typing workspace. This is where I write my notes to Judy. This is where I write slowly. I write very slowly in this workspace, and I think the next slide shows us something, does it or not? No, that's my office, which is about 5 steps away from the other workspace, but there are two completely different rooms.
You're doing a bit of a real estate thing here, aren't you? Going, look at the huge study I have.
Tiny office that the...
It is tiny. I've been in it.
Yeah,
you could probably touch the wall.
It's hilarious because it's, my husband calls it the Mem Fox publishing something. Yes, it's something that sounds incredibly grand, and it's a mouse hole. It's an absolute mouse hole. It's tiny. So that's where I do my writing work, my typing work, and I will move from one room to the other room to the other room to the other room, depending on where my brain is and depending on what the job is for the computer. I do not write everything on that because my brain can't do it. This is the kind of notebook that I write with. Many of my... Can you see this? It's so tiny, I'm wondering, can you see it at the back? This is my shopping list notebook. I have a penchant for Rhodia notebooks. I think they're French, but we get them from here. This book has been where I have written many of my first drafts, because you find yourself bored in a doctor's waiting room, you're at an airport, you're somewhere, you're at the dentist, they're the weirdest places. And the only thing, you don't know that you're going to need to write anything, so you haven't got proper paper with you. And because my texts are so small, I can actually fit a book probably onto 4 of these pages. So this is the size of notebook that many of my books have been written on.
Would you be able to write if that company went out of business?
I know what you mean. It would fill me with anguish, because you get...
You'd have to get some printed up yourself, wouldn't you?
You do get...
Put this on the cover.
You get attached to something. It's ridiculous,
Fox
absolutely ridiculous. And this is in my slow workspace, not my office. This is in my slow workspace. These are 4B pencils. They are the softest pencils. They are the darkest pencils. So
as an illustrator, you know, they're not the softest, but they're very soft.
They're not. Oh, sorry. Right. They're the softest available to mere mortals. Okay. To those of us who don't draw, they're the softest available.
And they're very sharp, ma'am.
I
do
know.
You keep them all sharpened?
I do. I
sharpen
constantly, because you have to. If you finish a pencil and you're mid-thought, you can't then be sharpening, because you've got to keep writing. So as soon as you've finished a pencil, because they go down very fast because they're 4Bs, you have to be able to pick up another one that's sharp, sharp, sharp.
And I like the way, as a writer, you've got the word pencil written all over your pencil.
I know, just in case I don't
because
know
as an illustrator, just the fact that the pencils were sticking out of it would have been enough for me.
Whenever I'm stuck, it is to that desk that I go, and it is to those pencils. I think it's because of my age. I cannot solve problems in a text on the computer. I can cut and paste. I mean, once I've solved the problem, and Judy's and my books, the ones that we collaborate on, are the kinds of books where you can get a pattern and, cut, paste, cut, paste, cut, paste, cut, paste, cut, paste. So that's easy, but it's
really hard to cut and paste. Mem's making it sound easy, but cutting and pasting.
And then, that's how you solve the problem. You slow down. Oh. I think when you handwrite, there's something between your hand and brain that slows you down, and it just helps. It helps.
They're artisan books, aren't they?
They're what?
Artisan.
Yes.
So going back to the sourdough, back to the...
I think so.
Yeah.
I think so, yeah.
So, your...
these 2 I cannot live without. I haven't thrown away the one that's tattered. It is literally falling apart, but I'm so fond of it. It's like an old dressing gown. I cannot throw it away, and I still use it sometimes. But those 2 books, I could not write a single book, I don't think, without constant reference to one of those. I mean, they're identical inside, of course. My husband thought I needed a new one, and I didn't like to not be grateful. I mean, you can't say, I like the old one and I don't want a new one. So I do use the new one. They're exactly the same, but I couldn't write a thing without them. And that is just, once again, an example of this. Here's a story that will never be published, okay?
They already know that's your
long
writing
ago and far away. Oh, right. You can see it. It's ridiculous. I mean, most of the things that are written in there end up in the wastepaper basket. Actually, they don't. They end up in a file, because you never know.
And is that one of the Brontes on the paperweight?
Yes, it is. It's Jane Austen.
Jane Austen.
It's Jane Austen on the paperweight, yeah.
I was plump. I knew it was one of them, and I thought I have 50-50 chance, and I screwed it up. Oh well.
And I have a thing for green, and that was long before the green sheet. When I turned 50, Jenny Darling, our agent, gave me a necklace of 50 paper clips, joined together, and it was. I can't remember any other present that I got when I turned 50, except for the 50 green paper clips. And as you see, I'm wearing green.
So green is your favourite colour?
Green. Well, see, yellow is my favourite colour. I love yellow.
Yellow is the colour star, which is the new title of the book. Yellow is my favourite colour.
Judy wrote a book about the colour yellow, which is sensational. I do love yellow. I love pink. And green, yes, as you see, I'm very fond of green.
Because I don't like green at all.
This is the whole of your book. Your book about colour says something good about every single colour. And but green, I'm particularly fond of green.
So yeah, I don't like green. That's why I do things in schools, and I say to kids, and guess what my least favourite colour is? And they all, green. Exactly. It's,
But
green paper clips, though, they're pretty fine. Now, I've gone back to Mem's workplace, not by accident, but because this is Mem's workspace and this is mine. Particularly bad at the moment because I am working on so many different projects. I'm working on the next book that Mem and I are doing. I was working on this presentation. I'm working on an exhibition that I'm having in Canberra. This box down in the corner is this and that, that's what I end up with at the end of doing a book. A big box that has the originals, the drafts, the things that they send page proofs all the time while we're working out the design and everything. And so a big box like that that sits high on a shelf and then is very dangerous to get down because it's too heavy. So that was down for that. But that's pretty much what my workspace looks like all the time. These are my tools of the trade. So I draw in pencil, and I don't draw on the computer at all. I will tidy things up on the computer, same as you really. But I like that hand, that way of what the pencil does, how you sort of think through your hand, and the body and idea sort of connects up more, and that's a good way of excusing the fact that I don't have the computer skills that allow me to draw on the screen.
I'm so glad you don't have those skills. I really am, because I think it slightly changes people's art.
I think it does.
And there's something about your art which is also like, making your own bread. It's original. I'm glad you don't have those skills.
But I do. That pencil has masking tape on it, by the way, because it's a pencil I've used since I first became a cartoonist several decades ago. And I always said if I lost the pencil or anything happened to it, I would never be able to do any more work. And through fatigue, because it's so old, the plastic just broke away. So I worked on it. We used to be like your thesaurus. Oh, wow, we are so the same. But I don't. If you've ever stuck together a propelling pencil with masking tape, you know that over time it just moves. The pencil gets longer and longer, and the middle part gets squishier and squishier. And so I've actually bought a new one now, but I can't. I keep that one very close. And this is when I paint. I paint in watercolours, and I found that the best palette is ice cube trays, because they're just nice and deep and you can slop around, and they're also a lot cheaper than anything you get in an art supply shop. So that's my handy hint for you.
I've never seen that before. I don't know how Judy works, and I'm as fascinated as you are, because when we were doing this run-through prior to your coming in here, I looked at that and thought it was an artist's equipment. Formerly, that you would go to a shop, and buy this to put your paints in. I had no idea it was ice trays. Amazing. It's amazing.
I don't think I'd use them for ice.
Isn't that amazing?
Though. And here we are at Where is the Green Sheep? So this was a green sheep. That's and here we are, Mem and Judy on the back, riding on the back of the green sheep. And there we are at the launch of Where is the Green Sheep?
Unrecognisable on my part. I'm the one with red hair.
Rubbish.
Oh no, Judy's got red hair as well.
Can you see behind my head? That is the etching of the green sheep. That little green thing is the very original. Why didn't I put it in the right place? There, that's it. And I'll move this away as instructed. This is where it started. So this is a little etching I did of a green sheep. I don't know why I did an etching of a green sheep. I did a red dog, I did a purple cat, I did a red tortoise. And Mem, who sometimes, occasionally, every so often likes to procrastinate by surfing the web, would that be an accurate assessment?
Yes.
Found this.
I surf the web when, looking for people that I like. I'm not random, I went to Judy's website. This was there. Judy had thrown away a line once, of I'd like to write a picture book one day. I saw that and said, Judy, that's your main character. That is your main character. Why is it green? That's the quest. Why is it green? Now you just take that painting and do the story. And she said, well, you write the words and I'll do the pictures. And that's what happened, isn't it?
And then I got an email back. Great excitement in the Fox house. I would be delighted. How marvellous. That would be wonderful. So that's where it started, and we tossed around several ideas before we came up with the form. I just have to go back so you can see a couple of those for those of you who haven't read it 100 million times.
One of our ideas got to be so bad that the title of one of my emails to Judy was "Green Sheep to Abattoir?" ?
Anyway, we saved it. All right. So here is the sun sheep, here is the rain sheep, and this is not from the same verse, obviously, because clearly the rhyme is really bad, and Mem would never have done anything like that. Here is the moon sheep, and here is the star sheep, and put that there because there are stars. So
and you need to remember that.
That's the green sheep, as we discussed, and this is what the green sheep has spawned. A whole variety of green sheep products, including the little toy, the buggy book, all different languages, and there was even a play. And I often quote myself. So this is the email sheep.
Oh, God, that's...
So this is from I Do a Cartoon in the Age, and I always once a week, and I'm always searching for ideas, and sometimes I just go, oh, I just do a sheep, they're easy to draw, I'm pretty practiced. So, and here, this is Drew Barrymore, and she's talking about 5 things that make Drew happy. Number 2, picking out 20 books a night with Olive. She can recite all of Madeline. Where is the Green Sheep is awesome. I act it out for her.
Imagine Drew Barrymore acting it out. It would be quite good.
So, and just while we're name dropping, here's another, Mem, you can describe this one. This one was discovered last Saturday night.
This is Chelsea Clinton reading to her daughter on the last night before she turns 1, and an illustrator friend of mine in the States who follows Chelsea on Twitter and who knows the book Where is the Green Sheep, because you had to do both of those things. You had to follow Chelsea on Twitter and you had to know Where is the Green Sheep, noticed that she was reading Where is the Green Sheep, the bed page in Where is the Green Sheep, and she tweeted that to our joint editor, who tweeted it to me, who sent it by email because I haven't tweeted until yesterday, and and Judy tweeted it to somebody who tweeted it to the world. So we're very, very excited about that. We it's really interesting when you write a book. You think, gosh, where is that book gone? I remember when Malcolm Turnbull became a grandfather, must be about, 8 months? No, it was last year.
Most of us remember when he became Prime Minister.
Right, which was 3 weeks ago. I remember when he became a grandfather, so it's nothing to do with politics at all. It's just that when I became a grandmother, I was beside myself, absolutely beside myself. I am the mother of an ex-Labour politician in South Australia, so it was nothing to do with, kind of trying to be nice to a politician for the right reasons. It was for all the really right reasons that I was so happy for him. And I sent him a collection of books, among which was Where is the Green Sheep? And I received, which says something of the man, I think, a handwritten thank you note on absolutely beautiful card. And I saw that child the other day, when everybody was being, what's the name, when the cabinet is being sworn in, thank you, when the cabinet was being sworn in, that little child was there in some photo or other, and I thought, that's a Green Sheep reader. That was all I could think of. That's a Green Sheep reader. We need a photo of him reading the Green Sheep to add to our fame gallery.
I don't think we should ask for them. That seems a bit needy. It's just if we come across them. And here is the grandchild of Mem Fox.
And this is...
who is not reading one of our books,
no,
as you will see.
Unfortunately. He's 5 years old now and he's reading Asterix. But were it not for him and our foolishly, I don't know whether this is the right time to speak about it, Judy, I hope so, foolishly, my daughter, Theo, my husband and I went to France when he was 2 3/4 old. I don't know whether you've ever travelled long distance with a 2 3/4-year-old child. It was awful, but when we were there, it was fine, except that he didn't understand jet lag, of course. He had no idea why he had to sleep at such and such a time when he wasn't tired and the light was, and so on and so forth. And I said to him in desperation, you know, he was in bed but was lively as a cricket. And I said, my darling, if you snuggle up tight, thinking hard what I would do if you snuggle up tight, I'll tell you a story of this, and I'll tell you a story of that, and I'll tell you a story of 2 little boys who ran down the road with a rat. And as I said it, I thought, oh God, I must remember that. And when I left, thank God I came home by myself because I had an event in Australia, thank God. Of course, I had my shopping list book in my handbag, and I opened it, and I was in, you know, Charles de Gaulle Airport all by myself. It's so heavenly to be alone, you know, it's so wonderful. And I wrote, I'll tell you a story of this, and I'll tell you a story of that. And I could see people around me, because you become completely focused. You don't realize anybody else is in the world exists. You're in a completely different space. And I'm writing and writing and writing and writing and writing this minute notebook. And I then had a sense that I was being stared at. And I thought, to hell with it. And I carried on writing and finished it. And then on the plane, I used the book sideways. Because page turns, Judy might talk about page turns later, page turns are incredibly important. Where the page turn, I think you call it a page fall, don't you? In your language, you call it a page fall. You say something about it.
No, I don't.
You don't? No, you talk about page...
I'm not...
Page turn?
I say page turn, but there might be an official page fall.
No, yeah, well, I think, phrase. I mean, I talk about a page turn. They're very, very important. And the last page is probably the most important. And they're always 32 pages because the paper folds 2, 4, 6, 8, 32. So every picture book is 32 pages. So I start, when I'm making a mock-up of the book, I start with the back page because that's got to be on page 32. And then you go back and back and back and back to try and get the text on the... which is another reason for writing in pencil and having a rubber handy. It's a nightmare. It's very, very hard, that. You know,
but that's interesting because I've never received a text from you that has where you want the page turns. And I don't think I would like that because I like to mix it up a bit.
Yeah, right, right.
But the texts from you are always of a good length,
right,
you know, as opposed to some people who, you know, send you a 1,000-word text and say, I've written this book for 1-year-old children, what do you think? You know, maybe not, but...
I think that the reason why I do the page turns, even though I know that that is really the design and the illustrator, is to know that I haven't written too many words.
Yeah.
That's the problem. I am what I call a serial tweaker. I tweak manuscripts.
I can vouch for that, can't I, ma'am?
All the time. I cannot leave a manuscript that hasn't been published. I cannot leave it alone. And sometimes I'll write too many words in my tweaking and then have to go back and take out a lot of words. And sometimes I haven't got enough words. So the tweaking is adding words depending upon the pages. So the 32-page thing is extremely restrictive and makes life very difficult.
No, I think it's good because otherwise you'd tweak 50 pages or something. It's good. It's good to have that structure in there.
It's like having a deadline, I guess. You know, you know that that's your deadline. 32 pages is it, and you can't do anything more than that.
So here is our second Good Night, Sleep Tight. Now this is less of a collaboration, isn't it? Because you'd already published this book, and this was just reissued with new illustrations by me. So which is usually the way it works. The author presents the text, and the illustrator does the illustrations, and they don't normally talk at all, do they?
No, in most of my books, in fact, probably all of them except the ones that I've done with Judy, I don't talk to the illustrator at all. I often don't meet them. I don't know them. I give them no instructions whatsoever, which is always amazing to people who want to write a picture book. They think that the illustrator is the servant of the writer, that the writer will say, on this page I want this, on this page I want this, on this page I want this. That is such an insult to an artist. A writer starts off literally with carte blanche, white paper. It's literally white paper. And the artist must be allowed that same, because a picture book is 50-50. It's not, one person is not more important than the other. They are absolutely and totally equal. And each has its own difficulties. And the collaboration, it must be because of reading magic. I don't know why we collaborate so closely. Because I don't do it with anybody else. Because you fell in love with the green sheep. You what?
You fell in love with the green sheep.
Right.
And therefore you sent me the first draft of a book that you wanted to do. So it was because you took my character. So, it was me, then it was you, then it was me, and that, that's
because normally I would, Jenny Darling is our shared agent, which is also
we
interesting.
Share it with other people.
We share this agent, which is, Jenny Darling is the one who has green sheep dedicated to her. In fact, she was very excited at a cocktail party when she was introduced to somebody, and they said with eyes round, not the Jenny Darling of the green sheep. She was particularly pleased by that. But usually I would send a text to Jenny. Jenny would then send it to one of two publishers, Penguin or Scholastic, the two people that I publish with. They would say yes or no, and then they would choose the illustrator with my say-so. I mean, I would say, no, that's quite wrong, or I feel that theme of the book is not suitable to the type of illustration there. But the way Judy and I work is unusual.
We present a book together, don't we?
It's unusual, yeah.
So this is Goodnight Sleep Tight, and this is Skinny Doug and Bonnie and Ben. Skinny Doug's the favourite babysitter, the hipster babysitter every child wants. And he is telling them nursery rhymes. This is one of the nursery rhymes. Round the garden like a teddy bear, 1 step, 2 steps, and tickle under there. And this... So the book alternates between Skinny Doug and the kids at home, and then every nursery rhyme he tells them, the kids find themselves in the nursery rhyme. And it's because the children having nursery rhymes read to them is incredibly important for learning to read.
It is. The rhyme, rhythm and repetition of nursery rhymes is so important because children with dyslexia, for example, have no ability to rhyme. They can't hear the rhyme in Fred and Ned, and they have a very poor sense of rhythm. So having rhyming, rhythmic, repetitive texts from a very early stage is actually tremendously important for learning to read.
What did you say? They need to know 6 nursery rhymes before the age of something or other?
They need to know 6 nursery rhymes by heart by the age of 4. That is a predictor of being in the top reading group at the age of 8.
But you put in 7.
I put in 7 just in case. There are 7 nursery rhymes in just like that. There are 7.
And then, so this book coming up to the end, they're doing Starlight, Star Bright, First Star I See Tonight, and they've wished themselves onto the moon.
And that's the similarity between that picture and the green sheep picture. Remember when I said, remember that? Isn't that beautiful? I just love that echo from one book to the next. I just adore it. I think it's so clever and beautiful.
It wasn't deliberate. I just had to draw a sky, and that's how I do it. We had long discussions with the publisher who didn't want the people to have helmets on. And I was going, it's an occupational health and safety issue. They're on the moon. They have to have helmets. So I had to keep changing the picture. It was quite till I found it, I charmed them enough with it that they could keep the helmets on.
Publishers, because of the public, can ask you some really stupid things. Some really, really ridiculous things, and I just dig my heels in. Go on, Judy. I could talk about that for 24 hours. Cut me off.
This is the end of the end of the book. Good night, sleep tight. And there's Bonnie and Ben. They've finally gone back to bed after having had their fill of nursery rhymes. And there's their babysitter, Skinny Doug. So that was our most recent book up till now. And then this is Mem's new story. This is an email from the famous Jenny Darling Dear Judy, nice to talk to us now. Here's Mem's new story, so we've all got something to smile about on Sunday. Love, Jenny. I'm not sure why we were sad on Sunday, but obviously we were. And this is the text, which we work quite differently, and I am an illustrator who possibly none of Mem's other illustrators do this, but I go, well, yes, I will do it if I can change some things.
Like, this is all she wanted to change, okay? She just wanted to flip the text so it was completely backwards.
Well, I asked if
She wanted to start at the end, and because it's repetitive, what difference did it make? And to me, it made all the difference to Judy, it made no difference to me. What a nerve, can you imagine?
Well, it's funny though, initially I asked if I could rearrange the verses because I had, all the verses are completely independent. They don't have anything to do with each other, but I wanted to create a narrative. So I created a narrative of the little rats running through and they're on their way home. And I didn't want to then finish with the cavernous caves, which probably when you were writing it, you thought, oh, the cavernous caves, a chimp with a imp with a magic hat. It was an imp then, I changed it to a chimp. That was another thing I did. That's the big dramatic end. But for me, I had to have the chickens, the hens, who were terribly fat because they were at home, and so it was coming home was the whole idea. But when I came to do it, to rearrange them, I realised all I had to do was just completely reverse them. And that's how I know that there was probably an arc going in your thinking of what you were writing about that I just reversed. And the two little boys initially ran down the road with a rat, but I needed the rats to be the main characters.
Yeah.
You can call them mice if you like, because I know some people don't like rats, and you call them mice or mices, but they're rats because the book is called This and That, Cat, Hat, Fat. It just there's a rhyme in the illustrations as well.
You didn't say that this book was a junior Find the Rats, you know.
It's Where's Wally meets Where is the Green Sheep.
Yeah. Yes. It is a book where little kids have to find the rats, and sometimes they're difficult to find. Children are remarkably able to read illustrations. They are far better than adults at reading illustrations, and they see things in illustrations that adults who stare at the book for 5 minutes will never see. I don't know what it is about their innocence, but they are brilliant readers of pictures, absolutely brilliant. And I have found that I can say, well, where are the rats? And a child will quite quickly find them. But adults are going, where are the rats? Where are they? Where are they? But that's what this book is also about, which we forgot to mention. It's a Find the Rats book.
Well, this is the time now we can say everything about how fantastic this book is. I know that there are things in the pictures that adults will never see, that kids will see. So after I got this text, I don't know if you ever heard that, how many writers does it take to change a light globe? Does anyone know the answer to that riddle? There'll be no changes. And that is generally, the way it goes. But hey, Mem, can I just change the rat to a cat and the imp to a chimp and change the order of your verses? And you very lovely said, oh, sure, why not?
If you want a good illustrator, you bend a bit. You bend a bit.
So I then did the mock-up. This is what I do. I often don't bother doing this for just a book that I'm doing on my own where I've written and illustrated. But for Mem, I do, and you're the only writer that I work with, I know you have other illustrators, but you never said you'd be exclusive. But this and that. So this is the treatment. And I actually sent this to Jenny Darling because she said, we want to present this to Mem, and she gave it to you over dinner. Do you remember?
No, I did not.
And then she rang me, I think it was a Sunday night, and she said, Mem wants to talk to you. I don't know why we did it with such drama, because it was, anyway. And then you got on the phone and you said, I love it. I adore it. It's fantastic. Which is a great thing about working with Mem. You get emails and faxes saying you're a genius. It's very nice. Documentary evidence. So this is the book, and this is the size of it, and this is what we presented to Scholastic, the publishers, and got the contract, and then continued working. So from there, Mem's done, and this is my favourite bit. But then I have to do all this work. I have to do all these bloody drawings. God. So that's this. This is how the hens were initially, and so this you can just see it's fairly roughly just worked out where the pages are going to go, and this idea is by the time they're at the hens, you know, they're coming home, they're near their castle wall where they're going to live, and they're hopping in there. This then is the next sort of drawing I do. This is a bit less of a rough. So this is the you can you see the rats? This is the marketplace. So when I look at this picture, I've got this picture in my head. It's just not that easy to get it out from my head. So from that went to this, and the rats, I've changed that. So have you found the rats in this one?
No. Oh, yes, got them.
They're running along the top of the bunting, and this... and that's because they were on the elephant's back, and they've jumped off the elephant's back and they've gone on there. In the market, I just put in a lot of things. I like to always show a lot of different people from different backgrounds, people with glasses. There's down there, the kids will know, and adults probably will never know, are the two little boys who raced down the road with a cat. Did you know they were in that picture, Mem?
Nope.
So they're in there.
I can't see them.
They're playing marbles.
Where are they? Oh, right. Oh, my God.
And then there's some sheep because, you know, when you're tired, draw sheep. And so I thought of a marketplace because I was just trying to think, you know, of the different places that these rats could be going. So they've started in the wilderness and then they've come closer and closer to civilization. And in the middle there, I did want to have somebody at the marketplace in a wheelchair, and that's around about the time I was drawing this, Stella Young, the disability activist, died, and so I gave her red hair and polka dotted shoes. They're a bit small to be able to see that they're polka dotted, but I know they are, so that she's in there too. So, which is, although a page like this is a lot of work for me because I'm no Graham Base, but it's fun to be able to just put a whole lot of things in there. So there they are running there, and then this is the crazy giraffes who tried to sit on a mat. And the rats, you should be able to, not so hidden in that one. This giraffes page drove me crazy. Well, we've only got 3 minutes, so I can't tell you why. So not to forget our co-collaborators on this and that, which is the editor Claire Halifax. So when I'm working really hard on it, I'm probably talking to Claire every second day. You probably talk to Claire once in the entire production of the book.
Never. I never talked to her.
Never.
Not
okay.
Once. Not once.
And the design. Well, you email her occasionally.
No.
You emailed her the other day about our next book. You CC'd me in.
Oh, yes. Now, but I'm talking about this book. I haven't.
Oh, no, this book you probably didn't.
Contact her
and the designer. So the designer, you know, I do the pictures, but I'm not a designer. So the designer came up with a number of things, one of which was to make these drawings into vignettes. So there's a number of these in the ovals in the book. I just had that as a full sky thing, and she just thought it would fit better and be a nicer variety. And actually, it's very, very beautiful. I love the fact that some of the drawings are in those circles. So thank you, Nicole, and thank you, Claire. And here are the kings and queens who love to have a chat. And this is... oh, no, I went too fast. Now I've got 2 minutes and we're at the end. Mem, say something. Starry Sky.
This is about the kings and queens who love to have a chat. And Judy and I have never done a talk like this before. I have loved to have this chat.
You were at the inaugural
in front
this
of you.
and that event.
So, you know, we are going to probably, if you liked listening to us have a chat, we're probably going to be very repetitive throughout the book tour and just hang on to what we've got and do this again and again, because I've enjoyed working with Judy on this in this way. It's more interesting than my speaking first and then Judy speaking afterwards. Just this, and it's also a good collaboration to show that we are collaborators rather than, you know, two separate beings who produce.
I can tell you a story about this one, though.
Yes.
This book is dedicated to Alex, who is my nephew, my youngest nephew, and so an advance copy went to him, and my brother reads it now, and he has to do voices on this page. It all started with the big Santa Claus king going, "Welcome to my castle, welcome, welcome." And so now he has to do that. Little Alex, who's 2.5, Mum, correct me if I'm wrong. 3, thank you. Ha, she exposed herself. Alex is 3, and he goes, "Do the voices, Dad, do the voices, Dad." So now every single king and queen has a voice. So that's a close-up of one of the pictures in the book. Here's the little rat saying goodbye, and thank you very much for listening.
Very, very good. Wow.
I feel like this has the makings of a weekly visit or something. I think we could do this on a weekly basis. Now's a really brilliant opportunity to grill them. We have a great opportunity now to grill them. If you have a question, please pop up your hand and we can bring a mic to you. Any burning questions?
I just had a question for Judy. Like, how do you go about choosing the colours that you do for your illustrations?
The colours? I don't know, because I started off as a cartoonist when everything was printed in black and white, so I started off as a black and white artist, and I always thought, I just assumed that I couldn't do colour, and now I just, I discover that I really like it, and I just love putting it on there. I think that greeny colour, the greeny blue for the last few pages, that was partly that's there. That was partly chosen because it's sort of a soothing colour, but it looked like an old-fashioned colour to me. It looked like the castle might be that colour. In Good Night, Sleep Tight, I had different colour schemes all the way through. So Bonnie, Ben, and Skinny Doug, all the pages that are in contemporary times are in the orange, yellow, and green, and so the kids will always know that they're there. But each of the nursery rhymes has its own palette. So one of the things I was thinking of with the this little piggy went to market and they're driving past in a yellow car, and I was thinking Great Gatsby, so I was thinking turquoise, red, and yellow, and actually picking different colours for the pat a cake, and more nursery rhyme sort of old-fashioned book colours. So. Thank you for noticing about colour, because it's one thing that people often don't think about, but it's very much part of, I suppose it's like music in a film in a way, that it really does set the mood very much.
Collaboration is a beautiful concept, and what you've done together is wonderful, and I'm sure there's more good collaboration coming forth. What you said, Mem, is you looked at Judy's website and you saw her sheep, but I think your desire to work with her came by why were you looking at her website? Did you like her work to start off with?
Well, Judy, yes, of course I did, because of her cartoons in the Joan Kerner book, and also, I think at the same time, or just a little bit later, Judy had a regular cartoon on the last page of the Australian Weekend magazine. So I was very familiar with her work, very, very familiar with it. But Judy also has a monthly, I wouldn't say, it's not a blog particularly, is it? It's
no, it was a newsletter. I'm not
it was
so
a newsletter,
good at the monthly part of it now.
A monthly newsletter which had lots and lots of hilarious cartoons on it. Lots of cartoons that you would never see if you didn't go to the website. And truly, you looked at them and thought, where does she get the ideas from? They're so off the wall. They're so from nowhere that my mind ever goes, that I was very, very... I loved them. I loved them. But it was because Judy had said, I would like to write a picture book myself one day, and I saw that green sheep, and I literally thought that she would run with it. I thought she would run with it. I didn't expect her to say, you write the story. I thought she would run with it. But she said, no, you write the story and I'll do the pictures. I'm glad it worked out that way.
This is a question for Mem. I wonder, Mem, if when your children were going to sleep when they were little, if you made up stories on the spot for them, and if they subsequently asked you for that story the next night and you could still remember the same story.
Yes, indeed, yes. And some of the stories, I didn't do it with my daughter. I just couldn't. I didn't have that kind of brain at that point. My husband used to tell a story to our daughter that went, once upon a time, there was a lovely cow called Daisy, and she lived happily ever after. So that was very, That was a very, very easy story to remember. But with my grandson, I have, in fact, made many of the things that I've said to him into real books, to the point where my daughter has said, "You're not going to make this one into a book, are you? Just let it be for him, just let it be for him." And I said, I say to her, "What do you want me to leave you in your will? Something or nothing, just..." So I have made lots of... I remember one where I was... how sometimes little kids, I've already forgotten this, is so awful when they won't eat. And you are encouraging them to eat, and the spoon is moving towards the mouth, And I've said, one day, a little boy walked down the road. I couldn't think of what to say, so I thought of what he didn't do. He didn't see an elephant. He didn't see a giraffe. He didn't see a... And that story developed into a book. Well, you've only got to do that in that kind of voice to make the child so mesmerized that when the spoon arrives at the mouth goes like that. So I'm nervous now. I genuinely think that my output will slow because he's nearly 6.
Are you going to do a book called Eating Magic now? Or Feeding Magic. Feeding Magic.
Feeding Magic. So I think my output will slow. He has been a wonderful source of stories. Wonderful. There is somebody in the front row whose hand keeps going up, so if you could... thank you.
I was just curious, seeing the manuscript, that it... I'm not used to these. The manuscript had no, well then, and that's become and then in the story, in the actual book. I wondered at what point that happened.
Oh, that was me again, wasn't it?
Can you...
I'll tell you a story of this, I'll tell you a story of that. No. Well then, I'll tell you a story of this. It was a bit like that in the beginning. Right,
it was like that, yes. No. There were too many words, and it interrupts the flow also to have no. And
I think I didn't like the
right,
no.
Yeah.
I think I felt that the story was going to be in the pictures, and if you kept saying no, there was nothing. I mean, now, as my niece pointed out, well, they never do tell the story of the blah, blah, blah. So
no,
you can't win either way.
I have written a book, which was published probably, 5 years ago, 6 years ago, called Hello Baby. And Hello Baby had the same. It had lots and lots of questions throughout. Are you a monkey with clever toes? Perhaps you're a porcupine twitching its nose. And then I would say, no. And then I would say, are you an elephant wielding its tusk? Are you a leopard dozing at dusk? No. And I took out all the no's of that book as well. So at the end, when it says, are you my treasure? Wait, let me guess. Something, something. The answer is yes. So I was able to put in a yes at the end, but I took out all the no's of that book as well.
People don't want to say no to children, do
Hello, Judy. Hello, Mem. Ooh, microphone. Mem, I have a question for you. When you are writing with any child in mind? Are you writing for your grandson? Are you writing for Chloe when she was much smaller?
I absolutely have a child in mind, but it's a generic child. There are 3 things I have in mind, all right? There's a child that's a baby that is either in my arms or very, very close to me on the couch. So there's that child. Then there's the child who's a little bit older, who's in bed when I'm reading to it, and I've got my knees on the floor and my, one sort of arm like this, and the child is holding the book, and we're sort of doing it together. We're looking at it together, but there's definitely a very close thing. The other thing that I have in mind, and all 3 of these are simultaneous, the other thing that I have in mind is a group of children in front of a teacher on the mat. the children are on the mat, and I'm thinking of they're looking out of the window because they're bored, or plaiting the girl's hair, and that they're sitting behind, or playing with the Velcro on their shoes, and thinking, will they like this, or will they be looking out of the window? Will the teacher have to discipline the children because this text is so boring? So I have a very, 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 very clear picture of the kids on the mat, as well as the individual child. But it's not a particular child.
Unfortunately, we have run out of time, but I think we all agree that we felt like the kids on the mat today and been totally mesmerised by your conversation today. Thank you both so much. Please join me in thanking Judy Horacek and Mem Fox.